Yep.
So, today we are going to talk about connectedness. And the very first thing for me is just making sure that we are all set. So I want you to join the bingo, not the bingo, the Slido, so that we can collect your answers once we go through the slides.
It says there are no active polls at the moment, but I'm guessing you'll see them.
Yeah, when it comes, yeah. So we are going to talk about connectedness. Connectedness is one of the main pillars of a healthy lifestyle. So I just want you to put anything that comes to your mind when you hear connectedness, as how you define connectedness on your Slido. So type whatever comes to your mind. Then we want to define connectedness. As many words that comes to your mind, just put as many as you think of. And the idea is just making sure that you express not only the synonyms of the word, but the feelings that you get from connectedness. You can submit as you write, because then we get more and more seen there.
So you want to send them stuff?
Yes,
Okay.
Send as you do.
So
Send.
what, send it up to each one, or?
You can the whole list. Okay. What we are seeing is the most, I think, commented on is happiness, joy, and friends, as you have said. Whereas if you like to think about the actual definition, is actually all of them. It is about the relationship, the feeling of the closeness to other people, about the community, or one person, and it is having a total different, if you like, stages on it. There are different types. You can have social connectedness, you can have emotional connectedness, you can have a specific purpose that you are connecting with other people around it, and you can have some sort of a spiritual connectedness. So there are a variety of different type of connectedness. But one interesting thing is, why does it matter? Why is it one of the pillars of lifestyle, a very healthy lifestyle? Again, I want you to type what you think. Why?
Shout them out.
Why do you think that connectedness is a pillar for a healthy lifestyle? What do you think that it has an impact on? Anything and everything. Purpose, contribution towards improving our well-being, we are social animals. We need it. It makes us better together. We live in society, and we have to be connected. Good for mental health. Exactly. So one thing that is definitely important around connectedness, it is the bridge for a healthy lifestyle and our psychological well-being. Now comes my next question. Why connectedness makes us happy? Because so many people were talking about joy in the definition of connectedness as well. So why connectedness? You need to, yeah, it is just an active poll. Why connectedness? Does connectedness make us happy? And I just wanted to give you something that it is very, very interesting. So we have, and it depends there as well. Like that is the very classical like answer. Sometimes
depends on which society you are connected to whom you are connected.
Okay. So if I tell you that happiness is infectious, like a virus, like a lot of other behaviors that we have scientific data on, I haven't told you a lie. There has been a study that looked at 5,000 people over 20 years, and what they have found is feeling of happiness and joy is very contagious to 3 degrees of relationships. So what we call them 3 degrees of separation. So it is my friend, friend of my friend, and friend of my friend, friend. So that is how connected we can actually infection the happiness can travel. If that
So
makes
you're
sense.
saying over those connections that when you have happiness here, that affects you
Affects
that far
everyone.
down.
Exactly. So if you look at that linkage, the matrix, the yellow dots are people who counted themselves as happy people, and you can see that they are like grouped, and that is like up to 3 degrees of separation. You can see that feeling of happiness is in existence. We have seen the same thing about smoking, and we have seen the same thing about obesity, that people behavior impacts their network, the people that they are connected with immediately or through friends and friends.
I think there's also this element of if you're able to experience happiness for someone else, as it were, it doesn't matter whether you're a friend or a friend's friend. It's almost like you can be happy for something that's happened, and that story makes you happy, even if
But
you
it
don't
is like
know it directly.
a joyful vibe
Yeah.
is contagious, basically. That is what we are talking about. So one thing that I want to talk about this afternoon, and it is the focus of the discussion tonight, is connectedness supports positive psychology. And the positive psychology, their main elements are PERMA. It is positive emotion, engagement, positive relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. These are the 5 main elements of positive psychology that we are going to cover each of them as we go through it. So let's start with positive emotion. What is positive emotion?
Kind of a state of mind, it's not a being. It's a state of
What are your thoughts? What is positive emotion?
Anything that brings you joy, or that makes you feel like that.
Boost your feeling. Something that boosts your
Something that feels good. Or the most complete answer is not just feeling good, but feeling good about life. That is positive emotion. So it is not only about being comfortable, being joyful, having fun, pleasure, and whatever, which is like feeling good, but feeling good about life, it does have a lot of elements on having like a purpose and meaning and personal growth. So feel good about life itself as well. I wonder, I mean, our day-to-day life, how do you see yourselves, if you want to think about proportionality between feeling good, being comfortable, joyful, etc., and having purposeful, meaningful, if you like, aspects or outlook to life. Which side do you think that takes the more weight?
So say that again.
So if we think about, they say positive emotion is feeling good and feeling good about life. So it is coming in two different categories. One is like now and here for me, and the other is about a long term, if you will, or it is more about having a purpose, feeling that I am growing, having a meaning in my life. It is very much a perspective. I'm asking, what sort of proportion you give to these two sides?
50-50,
50-50?
based on life.
Okay.
I don't know.
20-80?
I feel like 30-70.
So which
30-70.
direction? Which
No, 80-20. 80 to myself, 20 to society.
Let's
To. So
I would
it is,
actually give the long term sort of thing more weight.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think if you have that, then even temporarily unhappiness or temporarily challenge kind of gets smaller. So you have that long term
bigger meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is because that is why, as part of one of the elements of positive psychology is meaning, and that is exactly because of that, because it puts things into perspective to give us a resilience to go through a potential not so joyful time for now, but in something that has a reward of future, if that makes sense. Thoughts?
So did you ask a question? No.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I'm asking, most of the time we are happy to put immediate reward basically on hold because we want to get a bigger reward or a much more meaningful reward at a later date. That's what I'm saying. And the question is, how do you weigh up where on every single different action of the day your efforts go?
Purposely or unpurposely?
Purposefully.
70-30.
70% we just look at us now, looking at the joy of now, and then 30%.
30%.
30% future. Okay.
I don't know, that's a good question. It sort of depends so much. It's sort of, I think it's quite a difficult one to answer.
Mhm.
Is it not like depends on the situation?
Can you give us an example? What do you mean?
When each situation is different, so like sometimes you, I don't know how to say it, but like in different situations, this proportion would change.
It depends. She means it depends on the task. Some task by nature is for future.
So you prepare yourself mentally to.
Like if you go to gym, it's a task, but it's certainly for yourself. 90%, 80%, right?
Mhm.
But if you help your neighbor, certainly is not for your own. It's mainly for their,
Another.
Yeah. So it depends on the task, but overall, based on my experience, because of the engagement I have outside, the way I work, and so on and so on, majority of the task I do, it depends on myself, because I have less interaction with the others.
Mhm.
So I just weigh out myself more than to the society. But if I work as a social worker or carer or whatever similar task, certainly this percentage would be changed. If I'm nurse, and work 12 hours a day, certainly majority of the task I do is for the future and for different people, not me.
Okay.
But
So
even going to the gym, it's not just for you. If I go to the gym, I'm healthier and I can help my family much better.
But,
So it's not just for me.
but
It's
it's mainly you, them.
yeah, I don't know. I think there's
But
always.
but if you're a nurse, mainly them, then you.
it is an interesting dilemma, and we can elaborate it when we are going to look at the meaning. But there is an argument that even a nurse, that by nature the work is very much fulfilling someone else's needs, they are fulfilling their own needs first as well, because they are going to get paid for the services that they are providing. I think the meaning here is not so much about the type of work that you are doing in terms of okay, for example, I am an engineer and I work just on these sort of tasks. I'm not a social worker or a nurse, so I am not by nature working for others and like having an impact on other people's life. But it is the contribution. For example, the engineer can think of building a bridge, for example, or drilling a well that is going to enhance well-being of a community, of a nation, or whatever, just because of the work that they are doing. So it all depends on how you see something and how you define the meaning for yourself. And that is superbly important because it directly has an impact on the positive psychology and your well-being. So the way that we see the world and interpret the world for ourselves, that is superbly important, and it is always far better to take the perspective that I see a longer term benefit and meaning, that it is including others, not just myself, if that makes sense. Okay, let's talk about engagement. So we said positive psychology. The very first element was positive emotion. The second element is engagement. What is engagement?
Connections.
Connection.
But it doesn't have to be towards someone else. I think you can engage in something or with
And that is what I am after here. I'm not talking about engagement. I am engaged in this conversation with you. I am talking about engaging. I am delivering a presentation here for you today, okay? And my engagement is not only with you, but with myself, as how much I'm actually enjoying what I am doing. That is the type of engagement that I'm after.
I think
Does
it's
that make
also
sense?
like how much you are present in the situation.
Exactly.
People who are very unengaged tend to be, so they're almost like sort of always 2-3 steps removed from, they can be here,
Yeah.
but they're not quite here.
Yeah,
Or you have a conversation with them and you know that they're not quite with you.
exactly.
And that is not engaged, and that can be very
Yes.
noticeable.
But the type of engagement for the purpose of positive psychology I am after is how best I can be present in delivering or doing what I am doing with the capabilities that I have, with the skills that I have, and how I can enjoy what I'm doing. It is practically talking about when your biggest challenge is met with your best strength. If you look at the diagram on the right, if you look at the skill level going from low to high and the challenge level go to low to high, you can see different feelings that we are going to experience. If our skill level is so low and the challenge level is so low, we are going to be bored. I mean, we are not challenged enough. But if the skill level remain low, but the challenge is high, we are going to get anxious. We are going to get stressed out because we do not feel that we have the skill set to deliver. On the other hand, if the challenge is so low, but we are so highly skilled, we feel so relaxed. The best place to be is when the challenge is high and your skill set is high enough to meet it, and that is the state of flow.
Can you give us an example?
I don't know if you have ever experienced that you do something that by nature it is not a not meditation, if you will. It is not a therapy session, but you say that I have done that, and that gave me the same feeling. For me, for example, when I'm problem solving, I have a problem that I need to find a way out of it. That is when I feel that I do not feel or sense the passing of time, because I'm so absorbed in looking at it from a variety of different directions as I can do, that I totally practically forget about time. And that is the state of flow. Like, I know that some riders, like either drivers or whatever, they would say, like Formula One drivers, they would say when they are going so fast because they have to be 100% present, because every single move is going to be detrimental if they are not accounting for it. They go to that state of flow because they are all there present, ready for any sort of action. Have you ever experienced a state of flow? Pin that.
I could talk about examples of relaxation or maybe even control. Like it's sort of like borderline between those two. But for example, when I embroider, depending on what you want to embroider, it could be a little bit more challenging or a little bit less. But I find it relaxing. I enjoy it. So I think it would sort of like fit within the green areas.
Green areas.
Yeah. So not just the flow, but
Have you been in the state of arousal? So you have a very mid-set skill level, and the challenge is so high. Like you need to be 100% there. You may not have all of the skill set. I have definitely been, whenever I have been, the thing that they say, push yourself out of comfort zone. When you're out of your comfort zone, you're on the state of arousal because you need to be there, but it is not a very comfortable thing, a comfortable place to be. You just brave up to do something that it is not within your comfort zone, and you're 100% there.
Or you're sort of in the process of learning something, and
Correct.
You're just sort of if you really put your mind to it, you can just sort of get there,
Exactly.
and then
Yeah?
You know what I mean?
No? Yeah. Okay. Let's go to relationships. So we are talking about positive psychology. We are talking about elements of positive psychology that is defined in the connectedness. We talked about positive emotions. We talked about the impact of engagement, and now relationships, our one-to-one human relationships. What do you think about relationships? Are they painful, joyful? Can they be painful? Can they be joyful? And what's your take on it?
It depends on the stage. Is it the earliest stage? Is it the mid stage? Or is it the end stage?
That's
If it's
true.
the start stage, we are happy and we are excited about the relationship. If it's the mid stage, we are
Still
confused
assessing.
and we are still assisting. If it is towards the end, we just want to move on to the next one.
Okay, but are you looking at all of the relationships as having an end?
Yes, of course.
So you think that all relationships end
Because
one
we
day?
are mortal, so
Fair enough. That's a very good.
But
very,
you know, that's just one type of it.
yeah.
I've got bingo, by the way.
Oh, good for you.
Now I can actually listen to what you're saying. Now I don't have to concentrate on this anymore.
So relationships, interestingly, can actually trigger exact same places if you're isolating a person and person is excluded. they can trigger exact same places in our brain that pain stimulates. Practically, you know, you have heard of heartache?
Yeah.
Like, it is a real ache.
Yeah.
So that's a study just showed that the social exclusion, that when we are, for example, someone dump us or we don't have a relationship, it gets to the end and it is painful or whatever, it is actually creating the same sort of images if we look at our brain as the physical pain. So it is real. It is very real. Now, let's look at the meaning, which is what positive emotion, engagement, we talked about relationships, and now meaning. Well, how do you define meaning in life?
Purpose.
Purpose?
Reason.
Yeah.
Achievement.
Achievement, or aiming for an achievement.
Sometimes goals are in there, like if you're striving
Goals
towards
and
something,
objectives,
that
yeah.
gives you a meaning, that gives you
A reason to do
Yeah.
something. Yeah. So I think it is really, really important to give ourselves an explanation of how we see, how we are spending our lives, and how we give ourselves about or explain to ourselves about our lives. It is superbly important, as like, why do we live? What for? That is impacting everything, basically. It is not only the positive psychology, because you can express a positive psychology. It is giving you the chance to live longer, because that is that one, if you like, inch that you would want to push yourself harder to get there and do what it is that you are there for. So meaning is being part of a bigger thing beyond ourselves. So many people would talk about it as like legacy, like what we leave behind, what is our legacy, and how we are experiencing life is totally relevant to how we are perceiving our meaning. So it is a good question that ask ourselves every now and again, what is the meaning of my life? What I am living for? And that gives you a horizon that it is not just me. I am doing something for the betterment, if you like, of others, and there is a bigger purpose, there is a bigger goal in between. Anything you would want to talk about when we are talking about meaning?
I think, well, meaning can vary depending on what stage in your life you are. So, for example, for you, when you are in school, the meaning or your purpose would be, I don't know, studying medicine or studying whatever career. But then, if you have a family, then they might become your meaning or what you strive for. So I think it can be flexible and it can change for your life.
And it's subjective, not objective. It's not black and white. It's just not only flexible, but it's really varies from time to time. Depending on situation. Sometimes the meaning of life is just survival. Sometimes just something meaningful or great purpose, and then doing actually something, achieving something. But sometimes it's just to stay alive. You know?
But the survival, I would say, you are surviving for something.
Not really. When you're running on board, you just want to survive for your life. That's it. You don't really care about what to do next. You just want to survive. That's it. And that stage. Maybe next day when you survive, you went under the shelter, then you think about the meaning of life differently. That stage, you just want to survive.
Any comment on that?
I think I know what you mean. That there's sort of
Imagine
this.
a mom delivering a baby, and
Mhm.
she's in full pain. At that time, she just want to deliver.
Mhm.
The next day, she wants to plan for a school, plan for birthday, plan for party, and so on and so on, or make life easier for a kid. But at the time that she's delivering, she just want to have a safe and healthy baby delivered. That's it. She doesn't think about the future of baby, where we just push want to send the baby and so on and so on. At that 2 hours, 3 hours labor time, she just want healthy. That's why the meaning of life is different, time to time, place to
I agree
place.
with you that meaning can differ from the stages, the different stages of life. That definitely is the case. But one thing that I want to say is what we are referring here is at the state that you are not under immediate danger, if you will. You are living. You want to make something out of your life. That is because we are talking about positive psychology here. We are not talking about philosophy of life. We're talking about positive psychology, and it is about how we can enhance our positive emotions and engagements and all of those things. So when we are talking about meaning here, it is a predisposition that you have the basics right. And okay, now what you are living for, you are not under any threat. What it is that you are living for, that is where it comes in. At least in this talk. Does that make sense? Okay. Next one is accomplishment. How do you define accomplishment?
You reach to the goal you told you could.
Preset goal.
Yeah, preset objective goal you achieve. Yeah, accomplish something.
You get what you wanted in your mind.
You get what you wanted in your life. What else?
Feeling happy.
Feeling happy with where you are.
Whatever
in
is
life.
the result, you just feel happy about it. So that's.
So accomplishment, I think, can be about skills and things
Mhm.
that you've learned or achieved or made or something.
Mhm.
But I guess there's also that feeling of, I'm thinking of someone who, whatever, in their 80s,
Mhm.
do they feel a sense of accomplishment about their life?
Mhm.
That's not about whether they got that promotion or whether they got, there's something, it can be very different for different people, I think, what accomplishment means.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think one thing that I guess when it comes to positive psychology, accomplishment is more about how you feel you become more efficient to get to your meaning, so towards your meaning. So if you set something in your head about, this is my perspective in life, this is what I live for, this is what I want to be my legacy, accomplishment is defined where you feel that you are very efficient, you're moving in a right direction to it.
Just moving, not reaching.
It is because it is your aim and your meaning of life is such a big thing and out of you. Just because by definition it is out of you, there is no reach, if you will. You can always push on. Because of that, the accomplishment is just becoming much more efficient to do more of the good things that you are doing, or the contribution that you are doing, so that more and more people benefit from it. Does that make sense? Question? Go on, Anna.
Yeah, efficacy, what, in it being more efficient, or what would you,
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
Give me an example, what would be,
for example, you set a meaning for your life or a purpose for your life, and you think that I would want to help or I don't know, to establish something for the good of the community. Any step that you take that get you closer and make your path to that goal smoother can be considered as an accomplishment.
okay.
For example, you may need to learn a new language because the community you want to support, for example, they talk Afrikaans, for example. Or you manage to save enough money to do the trip that is required for that work, and that is the accomplishment. Any little step. It doesn't need to be a big gesture. It doesn't need to be like something that every single person around you can recognize it. You know what you are doing to get there, and the best person who can give the feedback to us is ourselves, and we know what steps we have taken, what sacrifices we have made to get what we want to receive.
So that also means there's lots of little accomplishments.
Absolutely.
It's not, because the word accomplishment often means a sort of
Bigger thing.
big, you've done it, you've got your PhD, you've got your whatever it is.
Exactly, and that is
You're talking about something
No.
much smaller steps.
much
to do.
smaller
Yeah.
steps. I'm talking about you want to get your PhD, even if you manage, because of your circumstances, you manage to finish your first year very successfully, you learn a lot, but for any reason you could not do the rest, you have accomplished something because you have moved towards what you wanted to do. Maybe things change and you are forced to, if you like, change direction, but you cannot discard what you have done and what you have achieved, if that makes
But
sense.
it also depends so much on someone's personality.
Correct.
The people who say, I haven't achieved that, I have failed at this.
But that,
And in the same circumstances, someone else would say what you've just described, but I have accomplished that bit.
and I think that is to me, this is my personal view.
Yeah.
I think this is the disease of perfectionism.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to be at the top. Like everyone, if you started to become a medical doctor, if you ended up being a nurse, you are a failure.
Exactly. Some people
So-
would see that as a failure, some people would see completely the opposite. of that.
Whereas how this is defined is even if you do 2 years of med school, you are achieving something. You have achieved something. So every little, I think, in a very, if you like,
So you mean you have to get some positivity from anything,
satisfaction.
some sort of
Yeah. So any movement towards what you want to do is a plus.
regardless of reaching to the ultimate goal.
I mean, because it might not visible to you that you are there. It may, and circumstances. There are so many things that are out of our control. We cannot control it, and circumstances dictate how you are going to navigate your road to your goal. But you should not totally overlook what you have been doing and what you have been trying.
Yeah, I understand because I got what you mean, but at the same time, doesn't it make people illusional?
Illusional.
Yeah, like imagine someone put some target in life, like I want to do these 10 things, achieve these 10 tasks in 20 years, and then she or he doesn't reach to none of them, but keep saying because I've done a little bit, I've achieved something, so I'm very good, I'm okay. And it just make make yourself happy, but as you said, the society doesn't see that way.
Okay, I have two answers for that. The first answer is, say for example, I target that I want to be a marathon runner, and I do not run. Okay. If I consider every minute that I spend running counted in my head, and from today that I am not a runner, and I said that within a year I become a marathon runner, but by the end of the year I can only run 10 minutes, I am far more forward from the baseline.
But at the beginning you put the wrong,
No,
far too big goal for yourself, which was potentially was a mistake from the beginning.
So, by definition, most of the goals are ambitious by definition, because I may say that I want to run, and I put every effort to become a runner, but I have an accident and I lose both of my legs. So I do not become a runner at all. So, or I can run still, but what I mean is, by definition, most of the goals are ambitious, and that is okay.
But that's a dream.
No, that is not a dream. It is being, it is good to be realistic about your ambitions, but it is not good that you consider achievement only when you achieve the goal
That's
itself.
I understand.
That is the first thing I want to say. The second thing is the other side is flipping it around. You say it is going to make people illusional that they are going to be happy and cheery to that they have
actually nothing.
without actually achieving anything. The flipping the coin is the person becomes miserable and unhappy, and then what is the use of that? I mean, it is not going to have an impact on anything. As soon as you are unhappy, you are detached, so you are not engaged. It is going to have an impact on your relationships. It is going to impact on your other engagements, whatever. So all of those things are going to be impacted. And then it is not helpful. So from my perspective, even if it is a potential delusion, it is not a bad delusion. The person has been able to start from 0 to 10 minutes. That in itself is a positive move.
The way that I thought of an example that I don't know if anyone has seen the movie, but it's in Netflix, and it's Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Have you not seen it? Well, the thing that I'm thinking is he usually wanted to become a hockey player, and he achieved things during his journey to become a hockey player, but he didn't end up actually becoming a hockey player, but a pro golf player. So it's like the tiny achievement. Okay, he achieved consistency in practicing every day. He achieved a great, I don't know, how do you call that when you golf in big distance? Yeah, like he achieved like great hits and major distances. So he achieved many things, but his goal ultimately changed, like the big goal. I don't know, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I
Was
think
he happy as a golfer, or was he unhappy because he
At the
wasn't
beginning, he wasn't happy, but he saw it like as a means to get through something like economic. But then he actually started to enjoy it because he realized, okay, I'm good at this, and this aligns sort of like what the things that I developed. So that leads also to the efficacy of it, because he became very good at something, and he made the most out of it. That makes sense.
I think the most important thing with accomplishment is consistency, as you said, in moving towards what we want to achieve. That consistency itself is going to be superbly helpful to give us the skill of engagement. Even if we do not get the ultimate goal in the time because it was not superbly realistic, but we are going to, if I do not get a marathon runner by year 1, if I consistently doing that 10 minutes, at least by year 5 I am a marathon runner. I get there. But the
Well,
consistency
it's very
needs
much
to be
linked to
there.
motivation, isn't it? You need to.
It's
How
not
do you
mot-
be? How
it
are you
isn't-
motivated every day to keep on with that?
So I would argue that it is not about motivation, it is about engagement. It is not about
Well, no,
so
but
you
that
need to
feeling-
be engaged, that you're pushing yourself because you have a meaning that you want to get there.
I guess we have to look at these explanation as part of positive
Psychology.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
what I'm saying is it helps people very much if they feel those steps of accomplishment to keep on being motivated to
Motivated.
carry on. kind of
My
thing.
problem with the motivation is motivation by definition has a lot of ups and downs. You are
But yeah,
motivated
part of
one
that is to
day.
realise that it's
Yeah.
not always, that there's that before you can go back
Exactly.
again.
But part of this is, in the eyes of positive psychology, you want to bring consistent engagement because you're after enhancing your skills because you want to get to this state of flow, and because of that, you are keeping the consistency. So that is why it gives you efficiency in what you're
Yeah.
doing. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
if it maybe keep it under the umbrella of
Oh yes, this is
positive
all about.
psychology, yes, that makes sense.
I am not talking about broader philosophical, theological, or I don't know, anthropological ways of human thinking. I'm very much focusing on we want to get to the state of positive emotion because positive emotion is the element of connectedness, and connectedness is one of the pillars of a healthy lifestyle. That is why we are talking about PERMA. We are talking about PERMA, which is positive emotion, engagement, relationship, meaning, and accomplishment. And that is superbly helpful for us to constantly put that forefront of mind.
So regardless the goal, whatever movement towards it counts. Compared
Not-
to sitting still and doing nothing.
So it is just leaving alone the doing nothing bit. Because if you have a meaning in life, you want to move forward and do something for it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you are going to achieve it or not. You go
No,
towards it,
you go towards it
do
every
whatever you can.
So it is every step counts. That is like every little counts of test, or
Yes.
every step counts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you guys have heard about this Harvard study. It has been a very, very huge study. So many psychology books talk about it. They have continuously basically looked at a cohort of their graduates over the course of so many years, and they have started now looking at their offsprings, and they have looked at how they define which one of them experience joy, happiness, and the understandings from that study has been very, very interesting. So the two main things is your relationships and how happy you are within your relationships with other people matters, and it has a very direct impact on your health. And the other thing is the taking care of your body and taking care of your relationships are really like linked up together. So you really would want their website is actually quite interesting if you like to have a look at it. They constantly update their understandings, and they observe this cohort very closely. So the link between the social relationship and health has been established, and that is what we were talking about. And you know that there are a variety of different interactions that we can have. We can have like socializing with people, but we can have some sort of instrumental relationship and interactions, like giving money to charities or like supporting a cause or whatever. And all of those things are impactful in what we were talking about. Okay. So the main things that I want you guys to take away from this session is happiness is infectious. Connectedness supports positive psychology, and PERMA, the elements of positive psychology. And I think for the first time ever, we are on time. This is the feedback. Appreciate if you can provide us feedback. So we constantly change how we are doing things. This time around, we tried to avoid having a moving around game and have a sit down, if you like, game. Appreciate to get your perspective on it. And that's it for today, unless you have any specific questions.
Who, I don't know what's the right word, invention, but who come up with the PERMA?
This,
Is it a specific psychologist or any person? who
oh,
come up with this
PERMA!
term of PERMA, or is it just very...
No, it is very much. So in medicine, one of the main things that we use a lot is abbreviations to make sure that we remember things.
Okay. So it's not invented by a specific...
No, it is just the elements that help with the positive emotion, and that is coming out from like psychology books. So the actual PERMA is just the beginning of these words.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
thought maybe some specific important person. just come
No,
up.
Like an acronym.
it's
Yeah.
an acronym. Yeah. That-
What I find interesting about the whole topic is that I can think of several people that I know in my life. Some people are very, very good at finding meaning and finding small accomplishments and being happy and being, all of that. And that sort of, it grows and grows and grows and it snowballs. But I also know people who do the opposite in almost every situation, who are far less connected, who don't see that sense of accomplishment, who don't feel they've achieved, and
they shrink.
they shrink.
Yeah.
And their life is incredibly.
It's very hard life to
I
navigate.
don't know what the opposite of a rich life is.
I would say tough.
a very empty life,
Yeah.
And,
I think it is a tough journey. And I think that people who want to specifically about achievements and meaning go for grandiose things, they would always get disappointed unless they achieve that grandiose
well, yeah, that's
thing.
that's such a shame.
And that is why I call it a disease, perfection, because nothing is perfect. So, and if you just aim for an ambitious perfection, you are bound to feel miserable because you just don't get there. That is the reality of it. Nothing is perfect.
And also, I think the way you interact with the world is so different for these, say they're two people. I mean, there's obviously lots of in between, but and the way they interact with the world is there's a
So-
world of a difference of what they experience.
In preparation for this this talk, I had a very interesting read that was the perspective we take in our head as what is the outlook that we are taking. Are we looking things in a positive light or a negative light? It has a direct impact on our bodily organs.
I totally believe that.
And I had two very, very interesting examples that was given. Say a scenario can make you anxious, meaning that your blood pressure, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure is going up, because as soon as you're anxious, you're in a state of fight or flight. Your blood pressure goes up, your vessels are going to tighten up. But if you define anxiety in your mind as excitement,
I know, yeah.
and it is excitement, so your heart rate still goes up because you're excited about something. But the funny thing is your vessels are going to get dilated and your blood pressure is coming down. You are experiencing a sense of joy rather than a sense of anger and frustration, which anger and frustration is practically very much correlated with heart conditions and is not good for you, whereas a feeling of excitement and joy is directly correlated with mental health, well-being, and actually very much protective of your heart. So just the outlook is making a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that so many times, but it's still fascinating. It's very difficult to someone who is very much on one end of the spectrum. It's very difficult for them to see that.
But it is
How much they're an obstacle to themselves.
absolutely we are obstacle of our own lives. That is definitely true. But I think that if people are willing to give it a try and try to constantly interpret differently and give a positive, if you like, gist to their perspective, and they experience the feeling, then it is going to have ripple effect.
It's interesting. My two daughters are not at opposite ends, of course, of that spectrum, but are very much. One is very much on the positive side, seeing things. Every little step is something that gets her somewhere, and the other one, sees much more the, oh, I haven't done that yet, and oh no, that's not enough, and that's not, and that didn't happen. And it's fascinating to see how they experience life completely differently, and I find it quite hard to see them like. That's really hard to do it that way, but
nice. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for your attention.